All right, here we are. July 27th, 2025, 3:17 p.m. on a Sunday. It's a brand new episode of Dylan Knows, episode 617, Chaos Walking. This has been one of the most chaotic weeks of the year or ever for the most part. A lot of deaths. We're talking almost 2016 caliber style deaths. A South Park Stephen Colbert double feature when it comes to Paramount and the what do you call it? Shit, my mind doesn't work right now. The pedophile. There we go, pedophile in the White House. Yep. So, yeah, that's great. So. We got a brand new episode of Dylan Knows. Got a lot of stuff to cover. It was San Diego Comic-Con week. I had a shitty Saturday. We'll talk about that also. Saw Fantastic Four. We'll talk about that as well. Very good, by the way. 6 pages of notes. So got lots of stuff going on. Candles. More Halloween, fall, Christmas stuff is starting to roll in through here, which is really good since we're July 27th. This will be the last episode I do of Dylan Knows in July 2020-25. My next episode of Dylan Knows in July will not be until 2026, so that's good. So we're getting ready to hit August. I will be alone next weekend. My whole family's going to be gone. My daughters will be back up at work, and my son and wife are going to be going whitewater rafting, which is really cool. So August 2nd. First, second, and third will be a pretty good weekend for me. I will probably do my show on Saturday the 2nd when they're not home, just so I can spend time with them when they get home on Sunday the 3rd instead of coming down here and doing this. So I figured I'll do a Sunday show today because my shitty Saturday didn't want to really get into doing a show on my shitty Saturday. So we'll talk about why it was shitty here in a few minutes. Some San Diego notes, but not a lot because San Diego has really become neutered since 2020 for the most part. And with everybody getting stuff already way ahead of time and all the new stuff already being talked about ahead of time. But there's still some good stuff. Just tried I think I only seen it at Walmart. The Walmart had Texas brisket barbecue flavored Pringles, and they're very plain. I mean, there's a little bit of a meat flavor to it, but it's very dull. Not a great flavor. But I decided that I was going to hit Walmart on Friday. I took off Friday to go see Fantastic Four and had a pretty decent Friday. Did a lot of traveling. Went to Walmart and got a bunch of Walmart exclusive stuff, including the Blue Raspberry Fantastic Four Pop-Tarts, which I hadn't seen anywhere except for there. The aforementioned beef brisket Pringles. Found the the dragon fruit Mountain Dew, which I'm going to try next week's show because I wanted to try for this week. I also found the Crush Back to the 80s Electric Blue Raz soda, which is a blue raspberry soda. I guess it came out in the 80s. I don't remember much about it, but here we go. I also have a blueberry pomegranate drink I'm going to look at too. Very prominent blue raspberry flavor or smell. Actually pretty decent, actually. Definitely a really strong raspberry flavor. Yeah, it's actually pretty good. Yeah, I kind of like it. Yeah, so not bad at all. So another decent one, good. They do have it in 12 packs. They also have the dragon fruit in 12 packs at Walmart, so I might pick up some of that. I think my son would like that. My son likes blue raspberry. Pretty decent. So if you can find it, I found it at Walmart. The Crush Back to the 80s Electric Blue Raspberry soda is pretty decent. So thumbs up for that. All right, what I'll do is I'll just hit some of the small notes I have here, and then hit my few things because of the bigger stuff in a second. So, So first up, candles. There's a cryptid candle collection now where you can have candles that smell like the Jersey Devil, Bigfoot, and Mothman, which I'm dying to see what that would smell like. It's up there with the beef jerky that they've created where it tastes like mythological beasts. Like they have dragon flavor and centaur and unicorn, shit like that. It'd probably be pretty cool. There's also, since I have it on the next page here, video store candle. I think I talked about that before. It's like got like the colors of Blockbuster, but it's a candle that smells like a video store. I couldn't tell you what that scent would be. Maybe some popcorn, because I think I remember they used to have popcorn at Blockbuster, like freshly popped. I don't know what else it would smell like, to be honest. So I don't know. So candles are interesting. Superman, which came out last week, or 2 weeks ago, rather, I should say, has officially crossed $500 million domestically and not domestically, worldwide, I think. And when you do the actual addition, all the morons who are saying it had to make 700 million to break even is wrong, and we actually have a breakdown of it. It was $225 million to make the film, and then like $75 million in marketing. So about $300 million was basically what they spent on the film. It's made $500 million, which, if you know your math, is a $200 million profit. So fuck off, all you hater box office bullshit a-holes and people who are still sucking Zack Snyder's testicles about how great his shit is. It really isn't, to be honest. His numbers were higher due to the fact before it happened, before COVID, not because there was more people involved with it. I guarantee you if he released that shit after COVID, he'd have similar numbers to what we're having here, maybe less so, because it's a piece of shit is what it is. So I'm not going to say more about that. But it's doing pretty good. Fantastic Four hit $118 million domestically this week, under what Superman made. But again, who cares? It's still basically kind of a hit. It's made a little bit more overseas. So I think it was like $200 million. So combined, it's been like 220 some million dollars worldwide right now. So it's made about $20 million before marketing. So it might not have made any money yet, but it's just came out. And I think it's going to have legs for a little while because there's really not much coming out. I think the Naked Gun reboot is the only thing really coming out next week. And then Freakier Friday is coming out on the 8th of August. So there's really not a lot that I think is going to dethrone any of the top three, really, because both Fantastic Four, Superman, and Jurassic World are the top three movies this week when it comes to box office. So I don't think you're going to really have much competition from Naked Gun nor from Freakier Friday. Could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. It's okay. It's good to see that the box office seems to be a little bit more healthy and there are more people out there. So I enjoy that. I'll talk about Fantastic Four here in a second, but not just yet right now. One of the San Diego Comic-Con things I did see was the Starfleet Academy trailer. It looks really, really good, due out on the 2026, and has a great ending clip of Paul Giamatti, who's playing the bad guy, whistling the Star Trek theme, walking down this corridor with a couple of his henchmen. It sounds really, really cool. But it looks like a really decent film. Holly Hunter is going to be the lead actress in it. And it looks really decent, actually. Couple of really big projects started filming. Ted Lasso season 4 has officially started production this week. They've released a number of pictures of the cast in Kansas City, where they're going to be filming probably the first episode. And later on the show, they'll also detail the new cast members that they signed up for. But right now, what we do know is Jason Sudeikis is back. Hannah Waddingham is back. The actress who plays Keeley is back also. The actor who plays Higgins is back. The actor who plays Beard is back. And I think Roy Kent is back also. He was finishing up Shrinking, so he wasn't in, and he's probably not going to be in Kansas City. Why would he come over to Kansas City to try to bring Ted back? It makes perfect sense for Hannah. And I just said her name too. Juno, the actress who plays Keeley, Juno, and Higgins all to come back, and Beard all to come back to Kansas City to try to get Ted to come back and coach soccer. because Roy Kent is the coach of the men's team, so he's probably busy prepping for stuff like that. So it makes sense for him not to be in these scenes. But we do get a lot of pictures of them. We had a great picture of the cast at a diner. It's going to be used in the film, and also they went to see Mumford and Sons, who one of the lead singers of Mumford's did the theme song for it, so they were on stage for that also. So that's pretty cool too. This is a shitty thing that our pedophile in charge is doing. The Venezuelan Little League baseball team, who was set to join the Little League World Series here in America, has been refused entry into the United States due to them being foreigners, because we have a racist ass fucker in the White House. And this team, they earned their spot in the Little League World Series, and it's a big deal for these kids. And that shithole decided to shit on their dreams because he's a fucking racist piece of shit. And now they have a runner-up team that's going to be taking their place, which is a bunch of bullshit. So fuck you, you piece of garbage. God, I wish you would just fucking die. The whole fucking MAGA GOP would just fucking fall dead right now because they're a bunch of pieces of shit. God, fucking damn it. Bunch of bullshit. So I'm in the perfect mood now. Let's talk about my shitty Saturday here real quick, and then we'll talk about the Fantastic Four movie. So I took Friday off. I wanted to go see the Fantastic Four, and I wanted to, run some errands. Went to Walmart, did a few other things as well. Played some Pokemon. Went out to eat Arby's and Chick-fil-A like I always do, and we had pizza for dinner, stuff like that. And it was a nice, kind of relaxing sort of day. I mean, I had to spend a lot of time out on the road because Noah was still here, so I couldn't come back because I made them believe that I was working. But it always seems like whenever I take a day off, something bad always happens, either the day that I take off or the next day or whatever. In this case, it was the next day. So Saturday, my wife was supposed to drive up and pick up my daughter because she was supposed to come down for the weekend because she finished her last scout camp. Now they just have Cub Week, which starts on Tuesday. So we thought we were going to be able to keep her through Monday down here. So my wife was going to go pick her up, and she called and said, no, I'm going to come down with my friends so we can hang out for a little bit. So we're like, okay, fine. So we were starting home about 2 o'clock. She did not go home till 4:30 p.m. And then she told us that she wants to go back up today and hang out with her friends up there and not hang out down here with us for today and tomorrow. She wants to head back up there so that she's ready to go for camp on Tuesday. And, that's fine. It's her life, is to do what she wants to do with it, but it feels kind of bad about that because I've barely seen her during this time. She came back. I was out running errands when she actually came back. I sat and talked to her for a couple hours. Then she did her laundry, and then I went and got Chinese food. We had dinner with her, and then her and her mom watched K-pop Demon Hunters, and then she went upstairs and stayed in her room the rest of the night. So barely saw her, barely talked to her. I guess I'm kind of doing sort of the same thing to my mom now. I don't really contact her all that much. I probably should have called her this weekend, but I didn't. But still, I just was kind of hoping that she would stick around. Now, she hasn't been feeling too good now, so she hasn't decided if she's going to go back up today or tomorrow. So she might actually stay tonight too, but as of yesterday, she said she wanted to go back today. So, but we're getting late now. It's going to be 3:30. So it takes an hour to get up there, and I don't think she's even moved. I think she's I don't think she's gotten into the movement of getting packed up and all this stuff ready to go. So I think she's probably going to stick around for tonight, which is great, which makes what happened yesterday, maybe a little bit better, but still it just kind of sucks about that. But it's just something to be expected because she will be going to college and she'll be away from us for the majority of the fall. Though she'll only be about 20 minutes away from the house. And but still, she'll be down there, and she'll come home when she wants to come home, and we'll see her. And there's a wedding we need to go to. Let's see her Thanksgiving. Then she'll be home for Christmas break and so on and so forth. So we'll see what happens. So that's kind of shitty. But it's understandable. I can't really blame her. She's 18 years old. She wants to hang out with her friends. I get it. And not her parents, but still, I feel bad about it. Second, in the morning, I got up and I woke up with, can't see right there, I got a nasty zit, which I haven't had in a really long time, popped up on my face here. So I'm not happy about that. Had a massive headache most of the day yesterday. My eyes were getting crusty for some reason. I had a stuffed up nose, so I don't know if I was getting sick or something like that. So that hasn't been great. Our coffee maker did not work. I put coffee in, it worked last week and it worked fine like that. And then it just did not work. So I was like, okay, that's fine. It's old. We need to get a new one anyway. So I was going to go out and get a new one. There were a few other errands I needed to run. So I figured, okay, I'll go to Costco. Costco has coffee makers and I can get some toilet paper and stuff like that. So the only Costco membership cards I have one from my mother-in-law when we didn't have a Costco in the area, or we just got one and we didn't join yet. She gave us that one to use, an extra one she had to use. And then we signed up on our own. And I only recall getting one Costco card and being able to use it. It was under my wife's name, being able to use it as just entering Costco and being able to buy stuff with it. Now, to be fair, we haven't gone to Costco in probably a year or so, maybe longer, and really haven't used it that much. But we only got one card, and we've been able to just walk in, show them the card, and be able to do stuff. Well, now they have a new thing where you have to scan your card. And that's fine. So I parked at Costco and I had my wife's card, and I walk into Costco and I scan it. And the lady at the register said, "Excuse me, sir, you're not allowed in here." I was like, "What are you talking about? I have this membership card." It beeped. So I was okay. It's like, is that your wife's card? I was like, "Yes, it is." It's like, "No, your wife is the only one who can use that. You can't use that. You're not allowed to be in here without your card." It's like, are you fucking serious? It's the first I heard of it. Did not hear of any changes. Did not get a letter in the mail saying we're changing this policy. And she said, this is a company policy, not our store. But they said, you cannot be in here. You have to leave. You have to be with your wife. If it's her card she's using, you have to be with her in order to enter Costco or have your own card, which again has never happened. We only got one card. I've used it multiple times in the last 5 years, just showing the card and going in and getting the stuff I need and not worrying about if my wife was with me or not. And then on top of that, you cannot be in this building. Well, how the fuck am I supposed to get my own identity card? Couldn't I just walk over to the identity place and get my identity card and you can let me in? Can't even do that either. So fuck Costco right now. They show themselves off as being a man of the people, which is good. They pay their employees good salaries, and they have fairly good deals from what I heard. But if they treat customers like this is a bunch of bullshit, not informing us that this is what they're doing, because I did not get anything about that, or not getting us a membership card for me as well. And besides, my wife and I, we have a joint checking account, so we pay the membership fee from our joint credit card or joint account, which means they don't know. You have no idea knowing if I'm paying for it with my paycheck or she's paying it with her paycheck. So I'm paying for a membership that I cannot use unless my wife is with me. That's a bunch of fucking bullshit. So that pissed me off also. So then I had to fucking go to Target, which I decided I did not want to do because of their DEI policies being anti-DEI. But it was the only other place I could think of because I didn't want to drive all the way back to Walmart on a Saturday with my daughter, just coming back. I'd seen it over a fucking month. And there's no other place around here that had coffee machines that I could buy. There's no Walmart up here. It shut down a long time ago. Now the grocery stores around here are going to have coffee makers, and there's a Best Buy. Maybe I could have gone to Best Buy, but do they even have fucking coffee makers? I don't know. I wouldn't think so. I think they focus more on shit like, televisions and computers, but I do know they have washer dryers and refrigerators. And I don't know, does Home Depot have coffee makers? I don't know. or Lowe's, because Home Depot's a piece of shit also. Does Lowe's, which isn't a piece of shit, did they have it? I don't know. I didn't think they would because they're a fucking hardware place. So I had to fucking go to Target, and our Target sucks ass anyway, so it doesn't matter, even with their anti-DEI policy, which is funny because everybody who works there is black or female, it seems like, or foreign, and then the people who were in the place shopping were all like foreign and black people as well. So I don't understand Target's DEI policy when their customer base is benefited by that. And it's a good thing: diversity, equity, and inclusion. That's what DEI stands for. And if you are anti-DEI, you're a piece of shit, just like Target. So I had to fucking go to Target. They had 3. They were all kind of shitty. So I ended up having to. I bought one. Luckily, they had they had expensive ones. The good ones were like $100, $90. Like, I'm not gonna fucking pay that much for a fucking coffee maker. Then they had a small one that was like $21 that only made 5 cups of coffee. It's like, okay, this might be the only one I can get. And then I found, luckily, 2 on an end cap that were about the size of the one that we had to get rid of. So I ended up buying the one that was cheaper for $19.99. So I got that instead. And then we decided to get Chinese food for dinner. And my Chinese restaurant's been pretty good, but recently they've been fucking up a lot lately. They forgot to get the sweet and sour sauce for my son for his sweet and sour chicken. And that's the only thing that he really likes of that. So that made him pissed off. And I didn't really feel like driving all the way the fuck back to the place and say, you didn't give me my sweet and sour sauce. So I just have to do a better job of checking, because I checked it the last time and they had it when we ordered it. And the last time before that was when they fucking missed it again. So I don't know. And then our fucking ice machine doesn't really work. So I was going to get ice for my drink for dinner, and there was no fucking ice for me. So that pissed me off also. And it just seemed like everything was just going downhill. And then I wanted to get my daughter her special ice cream, raspberry cheesecake, Ben and Jerry's, and Weiss was the only place I wanted to go to, because I wanted to see my daughter. I haven't seen her in a month, and it's the only place I wanted to go. And I checked there; they didn't have it. I could have driven back down to Giant, but I didn't really fucking feel like going on Giant. Target didn't have that flavor. And then I was sleeping last night, and I had a headache, and my back was hurting periodically, and my son tripped over the cat. It was just a bunch of bullshit. So my Saturday sucked ass. And then back to fucking work next week. Got the fucking heat dome is back for the next 3 days, but it's supposed to get really comfortable for about a week and a half. And that's supposed to, they say the heat dome is supposed to come back. So fuck that bullshit. I hate fucking summer. And I hate fucking August also. It's the longest fucking month ever. Up there with January. My son is starting his work at the Irvine. It's a park up here. He's going to be doing his CIT for the next 2 weeks, which is good. And then he's got some really cool stuff planned for that. And then he has like a break for a few days, and he's going to do his C-base thing. So his August is becoming full. So his August is going to go by quickly. And then his birthday is the first day of school for him. So speak ups. Yep, that's right. My daughter's college starts on the 27th of August, so 1 month from today. And my son's school starts on August 25th. So school's coming up here soon, too. So that was my shitty Saturday. Real quick, one of the multitude of deaths we had this week, Tom Lehrer, a musical satirist, died at the age of 97 this week. See what I'm talking about? A bunch of bullshit. So, we'll talk about Fantastic Four. They get here real quick. Might do some mini spoilers. So we'll, if you haven't seen it yet, you can mute. Excuse me, this section. And when I do a hand signal like this, you can turn it back up. So I really enjoyed Fantastic Four. I thought the casting was really good. They worked well together. I love the design of the world, like a 1960s futuristic sort of science fiction uh, dream. Um, it was phenomenal. I love the set design. It was like probably my favorite part of the whole movie was the set design. The costumes they wore were pretty decent. Their use of their powers were good. Galactus was really well done. A very good bad guy. The Silver Surfer Shalabal was a good one also. Um, I liked how much with Superman, where they just did a quick this is what happened before the movie started. They do a similar sort of thing, talk a brief for about maybe 2 minutes. We get a look at the origin of the Fantastic Four, the villains that they faced, and see them in their power and see how they've gotten to where they are as being the world's greatest heroes. And we start off the film discovering that Sue is pregnant, and they've been trying for a while, and it hadn't been successful, but suddenly it is. And Reed, being Reed, is excited, but he's also worried because he doesn't know what the effect of having two superpowered people by gamma radiation would create in a baby, if that would cause some sort of issue. So he becomes obsessed with trying to make sure that there's nothing wrong with his unborn child. And Sue becomes sort of angry about that, but she's pretty good about that. Johnny was played a lot smarter and not as the hot-headed comedian like Chris Evans played him, who played him perfectly, by the way, and it's a great characterization of it. This was just a different version of it that gave Johnny actually something to do, made him just as smart as the other members of the group, and actually plays a big role in helping solve the case of Shalabal. It's given a lot more to do than just be the wisecracker. He does have a few good things, but all in all, the film itself was not hugely funny, which is fine. There were some moments, but it was just a fun family action sort of film. The Thing was a lot more put together. Remember the comics, he's always, woe is me, I'm a horrible looking monster, my life is over, this is shitty, why do I get the shitty powers, everything sucks for me. He's played here as a quiet spoken, very caring sort of person, and not just a walking pile of bricks, as he tends to be shown in the comics. And Michael Chiklis, who did a good job, decent job in the other Fantastic Four movie, did a decent job of it. You don't really get to see that wise-acre, New York-y sort of thing that he has. And probably of the four, Ben probably has the least amount to do in the movie. But you do actually see how caring and loving he is when he takes care of Franklin, who we'll talk about in a second. And he also looks like his story, his sub story, where he meets a woman who's not Alicia Masters, but a woman played by Natasha Lyonne, who runs a Jewish community center. How the relationship kind of starts, but it's a very small segment of the movie and doesn't really play a big role in it, which kind of sucks because it was kind of neat to see Natasha Lyonne playing something completely different than her role in Poker Face. So it was kind of nice to see her in a different type of role. And it would be nice to see a little bit more of Ben, but I understand that you only have so much you can do. The film is ultimately Sue Storm's, as it should be, which is good. There's a lot of time jumping in there, so her whole pregnancy lasts about maybe 5 minutes of film as they cut and so forth like that, and then just as we're getting near the end of her pregnancy is when Shalabala, Silver Surfer, makes her appearance, saying that Galactus is coming and to be aware and prepare yourself for the end, that sort of stuff. And that starts their next role. So they decided they have to figure out a way to stop him from coming to destroy them. So they're able to follow Shalabal, and they get in their spaceship and they follow her to the other side of the galaxy, where Galactus has just finished eating a planet. Is now his next planet is going to be Earth, and they're a little bit of a ways away, but not too far away. So the Fantastic Four goes out there with pregnant Sue to try to try to convince him not to come to Earth or try to figure out a way to stop him, see what they're up against. And it doesn't go well. Galactus knows about, Franklin knows about what he's going to become even before he's born. So he makes a deal. He says, I will spare your Earth if you give me the child. And of course, Sue and Reed have been trying forever to have this kid. They're not going to give up their child, and no parent should. And anybody who says, "Well, yeah, we'll give up our child that we've been trying to have forever to save everybody on Earth," is lying to you. Because I thought about that when I was watching the movies. Like, could I do that? And I said, "There's no way I would give up my son or my daughter to save everybody on Earth. There's got to be another way to do it." Because then you got to think about also is that what if they were asking someone else? What if they were asking this woman over here who had her first child as well? We will save Earth if you give us your child. She's going to say, yeah, fuck yeah, have my child. It's fine. No, the fuck she isn't. She's lying if she says she would. The fuck she would. So they're able to barely escape, but Galactus sort of forces the delivery of Franklin because they figured that, he probably knows that they're not going to give it up. So he says, I'll force you to give him to me. So he forces her pregnancy to start delivery of it. So she's in pain while that's going on, and they have to get away from Shao-Bal and Galactus. So they pull themselves to a black hole and are able to escape and give themselves about a month to take care of stuff. And once they get back to Earth, they discover that time dilation has caused 6 months to pass on Earth. So they go down there. Everybody's expecting them to say how they defeated Galactus, all this stuff, and then they tell them that they didn't. And then Reed opens his fucking big mouth and says, yeah, he offered a deal, but it was too rich to do it. And they said, what's the deal? It was like they wanted our child. And that's when they said, well, why didn't you give it to them to save us? And that's one of the parts of the movie that it makes sense, and it doesn't take me out of the movie because it actually makes perfect sense for these morons who are scared that they're going to die and that their heroes can't do anything about it. Is that why did you refuse to hand over your child to save all of us? You fucking horrible people! You've killed us, and they start turning on the Fantastic Four, which is honestly ridiculous, but not much you can do. So then they're trying to figure out a way to stop Galactus, and then Sue actually goes out with Franklin and does a fantastic speech about how she would never give up her child for the Earth, but she would never give up the Earth for her child. So she says, we'll figure out a way to stop this. And then Reed gets an epiphany. He'd been working on a teleportation thing that's been working pretty good. He says, we can just teleport the Earth to a different area where Galactus can't find us. So they are able to create another unrealistic, which proves it's a different Earth. And people have different beliefs, that they're able to tell the entire world to work together to build these portals all across the world that will help transport them to another location. And they only have like a week to build them. So everybody works together to do that. And then they keep realizing that there's something isn't right because the power keeps going off every time they turn it on. So they realize they have to conserve their electricity. So again, they order the entire world to shut off their electricity all at the same time, which again would never happen in the real world, obviously, but it was a futurist, it's a different world, stuff like that, where cooperation is not frowned upon, is actually encouraged. So they are getting ready to do the big transporting thing when Shao-Bal comes and flies across the world and destroys all the teleporters except for the one in New York City, because Johnny, who's been working on a plan to talk to Shao-Bal, because he's been able to work on learning her language, is able to convince her to go away and to keep this one portal in New York City open. So now they have to figure out another way to do it. So they come up with the idea that that Galactus wants Franklin. So they will put Franklin on this teleportation pad and get Galactus to come to the teleportation pad and then transport him to the other side of the galaxy. So it'll take him millions of years to get back to the Earth. And by then they'll either be able to figure out a way to stop him. They would have moved on or whatever. So the plan goes into action. That's the finale of the film, where they have to try to get Galactus to go to that portal. But Galactus isn't stupid and is able to increase the tension a little bit. But then Sue goes all mama bear on them and just unloads the full abilities of her powers, which is able to help force Galactus into the portal. And she overexerted herself because Reed was unable to really do anything. He was able to save Franklin and a few other things, but he was being twisted to within his limits by Galactus, which was wild. Galactus smacked Ben into space, and Johnny had to fly and save him so he wouldn't die in outer space and fly him back in time. And Sue, again, uses her entire essence of her life to protect her child and ends up giving her life. She ends up dying by pushing Galactus through. And they think it's over and done with the portal still open, but then Galactus is able to find a one way to come back out, and they don't know what to do now. And then Shalla-Bala comes flying in and knocks him into the portal, and then two of them disappear to the other side of the galaxy, and it's over. But then they have to try to revive Sue, and it's not working because she's pretty much dead. And so Franklin starts having this like sparkles in his eyes, and they put Franklin on top of Sue, and he touches his mother and is able to revive her and bring her back to life. Which goes to show you that they've been doing tests on Franklin, discovered nothing did not have this cosmic power, did not know what Galactus was talking about. But then when they see it, they're like, oh, geez, what's going on? So then they realize, okay, what's going on? And then that's where the movie kind of ends. And then it cuts to a sequence where it's like a year or so later, and they're celebrating their triumphs over Galactus a year later. And they're going to be on TV. But then they get alert that there's an attack from someone or something coming to get them. So they have to go fight them as the Fantastic Four. And they're bringing Franklin with them. And then the funniest thing, one of the funniest parts in the whole movie is at the very end where they're trying to get in the Fantastic car. And Reed, Ben, and Johnny are trying to get the baby seat into the car in front of all of this press that are taking pictures of them, and they can't get it into the car. It's some of the funniest scenes ever. Eventually they do get it into the car, and then they take off, and that's the end of the movie. And then we get to the mid-credit sequence, which is the most important one. There's two credit sequences, the mid and the end. Thunderbolts, the mid-credit sequence was the joke one, and the end credit sequence was the big important one. Captain America, I still keep forgetting what the mid and end credit sequences were. I think they were both important, but I can't remember what they are, which is terrible. Regardless, it doesn't matter. So the mid credit sequence has a tag that says, I think, 4 years later or 6 years later or something like that, after the events of what we saw in the movie. And so now Franklin is a little bit more grown up, more of a toddler now. And you can tell that, it's a very 60s era sort of land in the film, but now 6 years has passed. You get sort of more of a 70s sort of vibe going on, particularly with the giant weird fireplace in the middle of their place. So Sue is reading Franklin a story, and he wants a different book. So she gets up to go get another book. And then while she's getting the book, she hears a noise, and she gets her power on, and she starts creeping over to see what's going on with Franklin. And Franklin's sitting on the sofa with his hands up on the face of a cloaked figure who is in green with a metal mask next to it, which is Dr. Doom. So Dr. Doom has entered the Fantastic Four's house, and Franklin is either healing him or is trying to touch him or whatever, because Doom has taken off his mask. Now, we don't see Robert Downey Jr. We just see him from the back with the hood on, but you know it's Dr. Doom because you see his mask and you see the green, which is his usual costume, and that's where the mid-credit sequence ends. So that sequence, along with the one that was in Thunderbolts, is going to be in the Doomsday when it comes out next December. And then the end credit sequence was just a bit of their cartoon that they had on their planet also, which was kind of stupid, to be honest. But oh well, but that was the movie. So you can come back now. So done with the spoilers on that. I really enjoyed it. I like the casting. As I said, I find the characters a little bit different than they are in the comics, but still pretty decent. And a lot of Easter eggs coming up and stuff like that. And I just like how they just sort of cover the first few years of the Fantastic Four's existence in the opening sequence like they did with Superman, which is really cool. So now, what does that leave us? We have Wonder Man, the TV series, which looks pretty decent, coming out in December. The next MCU movie will not be out until not even a year from now, July 31st. So we still have 4 days. We have a year and 4 days before the next MCU film comes out, which is basically going to be Spider-Man Brand New Day. That's the next MCU movie coming out July 31st, 2026. So here we are, July 27th, and we have an MCU show coming, but the next movie is not for a year and 4 days, because Doomsday decided they were going to shift from May to December. I guess because they just have to get it just right. But that would have been a lot less of a worry, because that would have dropped it, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, 10 months, which is 2 months less than a year. So it got me thinking also that we're basically about a year from now is when the Odyssey, Chris Nolan's Odyssey, is going to debut in the movie theater. So 1 year from now, I will be at the movie theater watching the Odyssey. And then the week after, I will take that week off also, or that day off also, and see Spider-Man Brand New Day. That's your next MCU movie. And then after that is Avengers Doomsday in December. So then you have an additional 5 months, July, August, September, October, November, December. Yeah, 5 months before the next film comes out. So in the next year and a half, we have 2 MCU movies and a show. Now, to be fair, they are 2 of the biggest MCU movies we're going to see, and there's potentially that there could be, Daredevil show will be on, I think, next year in early 2026, so we'll get that, and there might be a few other things popping in there. The Punisher special might make its debut also early next year also, so we'll still get some sort of shows and stuff like that, but yeah. Now, to be fair, also, we also have Eyes of Wakanda, which is the animated show coming out in about a week or so that's going to quell your Marvel-ness, but the fact that it's coming out so soon after Fantastic Four is something. So there we go. And by the way, for those who have not seen Thunderbolts, it will be hitting Blu-ray and 4K on Tuesday, so you'll be able to pick it up. I ordered it. Hopefully they haven't shifted it to another date, because Amazon is very good at doing that, where I order something that's supposed to come out on the day. Yep, it still says arriving Tuesday. So yep. So there we go. So I got my Thunderbolts will be coming in on Tuesday, which is good. So I'll be able to watch Thunderbolts again. So for those who did not see it and wanted to wait for it to be on video, Tuesday you get on video. I think Disney Plus has it coming out at the end of August. So we got about a month before it comes out on Disney Plus. So I highly recommend, if you have not seen Thunderbolts, to go watch Thunderbolts also. Because with that end credit sequence and this mid-credit sequence in Fantastic Four, you're getting our first really good look at what Doomsday is going to be like. So there we go. Wow, 44 minutes in, and I still have 5 full pages. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5 pages to go. So we're looking at a good, probably 2-hour show here, probably. One I haven't had for a while. let's get moving. So part of the chaos of last week was the amount of celebrity deaths that actually occurred also. I still feel like I'm missing one, but we had, I'll just do this because this is the big story. We had Malcolm Jamal Warner, who played Theo Huxtable on The Cosby Show, but also did a bunch of other shows, was on Community, Jeremiah, stuff like that. He died from drowning, which is a real shame. He was one of the good kids. Ozzy Osbourne, your heavy metal badass, bit the head off of live bat. Did lots of drugs, had his own reality show, which gave him a whole new bunch of fans after that, and more proof that Pepsi Twist still existed. One of my favorite sodas of all time, which is Pepsi with a twist of lemon. They did the Pepsi Twist commercial that Ozzy was in with his kids. Ozzy passed away this week as well. That really wasn't too unexpected because he really wasn't looking well when he did his farewell concert with Black Sabbath a couple weeks ago. So that was crazy. Chuck Mangione, Feel So Good musician, and was also voice on King of the Hill. He passed away this week as well. Hulk Hogan passed away as well this week. I was never a big wrestling fan. I'm not making that up. I never really was. I never got into wrestling as much as everybody did in the 80s. He was one of the biggest wrestlers in the 1980s, was in a Rocky movie, but he was also a racist, sexist, MAGA piece of shit, awful, horrible, terrible person. And he passed away this week as well. So those are the big ones. I feel like I'm missing one of the big ones, but I don't think I am. Junior Edwards from Swamp People, he also died this week at the age of 62. Ziad Rathborn, a Lebanese musician and actor, legendary. He passed away this week as well. So San Diego Comic-Con, and after James Gunn's huge Superman hit, Peacemaker Season 2 trailer dropped in at San Diego Comic-Con. Looks like it's going to be a multiverse adventure through the multiverse to get him into the current DC universe. So that should be an interesting premise. That comes out in August, I believe. The Hunger Games prequel has added Iris Apatow and Edwin Riding to the cast, and sets have started to go up in Spain, so they're going to start filming that really soon if they haven't already. Sarah J. Maas, who is the author of the Throne of Glass series, who pretty much ended her series, has come out and said, well, there are some other stories I want to tell, so we could see a revival of the Throne of Glass saga, but could be a little bit different than what we're expecting, other side stories, but in the same world, so we'll find out for sure. Holiday stuff, Silent Night, Deadly Night teaser trailer, a remake of the old 70s and 80s horror thing, the person dressed up as Santa Claus killing people with an axe. This one is your typical gory horror film, updated for 2025. Will be out in December of 2025 or October. It's going to be sometime in the fall. Family Guy, which I hate and despise, they will be doing a Halloween episode. So we saw some first looks at that. So that's coming up as well. 13 Ghosts was a old series from the 1950s. And then they redid it in the 90s with Matthew Lillard. And the premise is a house that is a cage for 13 of the worst ghosts in the world. People move in the house and don't realize that that's going on. I think the ghosts get free. Each ghost has its own story, and they're going to do a series called 13 Ghosts. 13 Ghost series, prequel series, which is going to tell the stories of all 13 ghosts. Don't know who's doing it, but it is in the works right now. Five Nights at Freddy's 2 trailer. We got a first look at that. It looks pretty decent again. What you expect, and probably going to make a ton of money. It's coming out in October. So, yes, that will be probably doing pretty good. The Girl Who Loves Tom Gordon, which is one of my favorite Stephen King books, is finally getting a film from Lionsgate. So that's good. Margot Robbie is set to star in Tim Burton's remake of Attack of the 50-Foot Woman. I could not think of anyone better than that. The Devil Wears Prada 2, I think I talked about this last week, but I'm talking about it again, has started filming with lots of behind-the-scenes photos. Gorgeous Anne Hathaway and her gorgeous outfits looking gorgeous. We got to see some of Meryl Streep. We get to see some Stanley Tucci. The only person we haven't seen yet is Emily Blunt. So I haven't seen any pictures of her yet, so we'll see what happens. There have been some new cast members added, but we'll cover that later on in the show. Hulu is producing an adaptation of Count My Lies, excuse me, which is going to star Lindsay Lohan. So they're going to start working on that too soon. Katie Holmes is starring in and directing a trilogy rom-com series of movies. And she decided to reteam with her biggest ship from Dawson's Creek, Joshua Jackson. And everyone from the 90s is losing their mind because they love the Katie Holmes, Joshua Jackson ship. And the fact that Dawson's Creek ended with the two of them together made them extraordinarily happy. So Katie Holmes knows what she's doing. She cast Joshua Jackson. The two of them have incredible chemistry. And she started filming the trilogy now. And everybody's hoping that they're both single now. It's like, hey, why don't you two get together in real life also? So I doubt that's going to happen. But no, that's exactly true. They said they were, but there was a story not too long ago that Joshua Jackson ran into his Cruel Intentions co-star, who he had a gay relationship with in the movie, and it was kind of an awkward sort of situation. And I thought he was with his wife, and the actor who he worked with was with his wife. So I don't know. Maybe I'm misunderstanding, but all the 90s shippers are losing their freaking mind over that. And they look good. They look good together. Looks like a cute series of films, and we'll see those eventually. Don't know exactly when, but we will. Vision Quest has finished filming, so we'll be seeing that probably 2026 also. So potentially could see that as well to cover our missing MCU movie. So that's pretty good. The new trailer for Stephen King's The Long Walk debuted. Comes out September 12th. Yes, still not too intrigued to see it. Looks like a combination of Squid Game and other stuff like that. So we'll see what happens. Before Doom, the video game, one of the first ever computer games that I played and that became a huge hit was Wolfenstein. Castle Wolfenstein, I think it was called. And basically it used the same sort of Doom first point shooter views as you're going through these bunkers and you're shooting Nazis. And there's all this Nazi paraphernalia all over the walls and stuff like that. And the final big bad is Adolf Hitler in a robot suit, and you have to beat him. So it was basically the creators of Doom. Their first thing that they ever created was Wolfenstein. I played it. They did Wolfenstein in 3D also. And it became a video game for Nintendo and stuff like that. But was also first and foremost in computers. And I played it when it first came out also. And then when they created Doom, Wolfenstein sort of disappeared because Doom became the next big thing and is still fairly big there. But they will be doing a Wolfenstein movie, a series rather, on Prime. So, because Prime tends to be pretty good about making these video game movies. So they'll be doing one based on Wolfenstein. I keep getting these Evites to Mackenzie's 4th birthday party. I know no Mackenzie. I have no idea where the hell that's coming from. That's crazy. Anna Nogueira, who is the writer of Supergirl, has been tapped to write not only a Teen Titans movie for James Gunn's DC, but has also been tapped to write the Wonder Woman movie that he's fast tracking after the huge popularity of Superman. So Anna Nogueira is one of the hottest screenwriters in movies right now, having written Supergirl, which comes out next year, and has already written a Titans one and is now writing Wonder Woman. So good for her. Reese Witherspoon is joining forces with Harlan Coben to co-write a book called Gone Before Goodbye, set to debut October 14th. So that's kind of interesting. Godzilla Minus One, which is one of the best Godzilla movies of all time and won an Oscar, has a sequel that's going to start filming in August, which means it'll probably debut sometime next year. So we should be getting a Godzilla Minus One sequel sometime next year. Shin Godzilla is set to be re-released in theaters on August 14th. I might have to check that out. Unfortunately, my son will be at Seabase, so he will miss it in movie theaters, but I might check it out myself. John Byrne, this is from San Diego Comic-Con. John Byrne, who was one of the most famous comic book writer artists from the 1980s and somewhat to the 90s a little bit, and sort of disappeared in the 2000s. He started off working on Marvel Team Up, and then he did the Fantastic Four, probably has the most iconic run on the Fantastic Four. And then before that, though, he did the X-Men for the longest time with Chris Claremont, but then he left the X-Men and then took over Fantastic Four and had a huge, iconic, like 14, 15-year run on Fantastic Four, which he wrote and drew. And then when DC, after they underwent their crisis, DC asked him if he would reboot the Man of Steel, Superman, for the new Crisis one. So he took over the writing of Superman and wrote and drew the Man of Steel miniseries, which set the new status quo for Superman in the new DC universe. And then he wrote and drew both Superman and Action Comics, which he turned into sort of a Superman team-up book. And then Jerry Ordway, I think Marv Wolfman was the writer for a little bit, but I think Jerry Ordway took over writing chores of it, wrote Adventures of Superman. So those were the three main Superman books. And then Byrne left after like 50 some issues or something like that of both Action and the Superman to do other stuff. And then it was taken over by Dan Jurgens and stuff like that. But he did have a run on the X-Men with Chris Claremont that ended with the Days of Future Past storyline. So he did the Death of Phoenix. Then after Death of Phoenix, he did the whole like aftermath of that, and then they did the Days of Future Past two-parter. And then his final issue was sort of an epilogue to all that, where Kitty Pryde had just joined the X-Men, and she was alone by herself in the X-Mansion, having to take on the Brood, which was an alien race. So she had to, on Christmas Eve, I think, of all times, so to prove that she was supposed to be there. And then after that, Byrne left X-Men to do Fantastic Four. A few years ago, I guess Byrne got the okay to do this, or he was just doing it of his own volition. Decided that he wanted to, since he really hadn't been doing much, decided to revisit the X-Men. And his decision was, what if I create something called Elsewhen, which is a series that he wrote and penciled and released in black and white without any colors and inking like that. On his website or something like that. I think it was, not a lot of people knew about it, knew it was out there, but it was not released in comic book stores or whatever, because it was just him just having fun. He started thinking about what his run of X-Men would be like if he would have stayed on after his final issues. Instead of going to Fantastic Four, what if he continued drawing X-Men, but then couldn't get Chris Claremont to write his stories because it was his ideas. So he ended up becoming the writer-artist of these X-Men. So he wrote all of these X-Men issues after using the characters that were in his run and the whole Dark Phoenix thing, and changed some stuff up as well, and turned it into this whole like alternate reality sort of thing. And fans loved it, but it was never really released to anybody. I didn't even know it existed until I read this article from San Diego Comic-Con that Marvel has decided they think that they're going to re-release it in book format, and they're going to get different inkers to come in and probably even color it as well. Excuse me. to release it to the world. So we'll see if that actually does indeed happen. So we'll see what happens with that. A criminal was caught after cutting off 37 man buns in one day, saying he was doing the Lord's work. So this dude went up to men who had man buns and cut them off because he was doing the Lord's work. People are crazy, man. I'm telling you, they're crazy. Here's something interesting. So a couple weeks ago, I told you the story about another interstellar object has entered our solar system from another galaxy. And we had one that already came through. And when it first came through, everybody was saying that it was probably a UFO spaceship coming from interstellar space because it was speeding up and slowing down and doing all this stuff. But eventually, once it passed close enough to Earth, they were able to photograph it, take looks at it, and it didn't stop or anything. It just kept going and then went around the sun and then headed back out to interstellar space. So they said, yeah, as we told you, it was just some sort of, weird shaped comet sort of thing from interstellar space. So they discovered another one a couple weeks ago that was in our solar system. It's set to pass by Mars, which by August or October or something like that, and then supposed to go past the Earth in November. So right now, when scientists first saw it, they said it's another one of these interstellar objects, probably a comet. And again, it's weird shifting speeds again. So it's kind of a weird shifting speeds and slowing up and speeding up and slowing down sort of thing. And it's acting weird. But this other one was acting weird also. So they just thought it was just something typical. Well, finally, someone from, I think, Harvard talked to the New York Post or Columbia, or one of these big time schools, and talked to the New York Post, which, to be fair, is not one of the most accurate newspapers in New York City, but it still is considered a newspaper that people will read and keep an eye on and stuff like that. They said that they believe that this interstellar object might actually be a threatening alien spaceship who's going to threaten the Earth in November. It doesn't really give any reason why he believes this. But again, when the first one came through that we discovered a couple years ago, people were saying the same exact thing, turned out not to be true. So I'm taking this with a grain of salt. But the fact that the New York Post, which again, to clarify, is not one of the best newspapers out there, but is still considered not the National Enquirer or World Weekly News, is actually a straight up newspaper that does do actual news stuff. It was a college professor of some kind believes that is indeed going to be an alien craft that could threaten us in November when it drives by here. We got 4 months to find out. Anniversaries. Little Miss Sunshine debuted 19 years ago this week. The Wolverine debuted 12 years ago this week. Fortnite debuted 8 years ago this week. Mission Impossible Fallout debuted 7 years ago this week. X-Files, I Need to Believe film, which was the second film, debuted 17 years ago this week. April 24th, 2026 is now the new date for the Antoine Fuqua Michael Jackson biopic. It has been pushed back to this date again. It's supposed to come out later this year, but then pushed it to April 24th. Gen V Season 2 trailer debuted also at San Diego Comic-Con, so I don't care because I don't care about that. Daryl Dixon Season 3 trailer debuted at San Diego Comic-Con, and they announced that a 4th and final season is in the works, and then to be over with that. We got our first look at The Savant, a new Apple Plus TV show with Jessica Chastain and Nnamdi Asomugha. We got our first look at The 100 Nights of Heroes with Emma Corrin, Felicity Jones, Micah Monroe, Nicholas Gullickson, and Charlie XCX. We got a first look trailer at the History of Sound with Paul Mescal and Josh O'Connor. It's a debut September 12th. It looks like it's going to be about a gay couple. Stick gets a second season. That's the golfing Ted Lasso esque show with Owen Wilson. Got renewed for a second season. We got our first look at and a teaser trailer for Vince Gilligan's new show. Vince Gilligan was creator of Breaking Bad. He hasn't done a show since then, but he's created a new one called Pluribus. It's a debut November 7th. It was a real quick, disturbing teaser trailer. It's going to supposed to star Rhea Seehorn. And all it was a teaser. It was this weird-looking woman in this darkened room with just like an electrical light sort of flickering, and she's licking all of these donuts and saying free donuts underneath so people would eat it. So kind of weird, bizarre sort of thing. Jamie Lee Curtis announced that she's going to be doing a movie remake of Murder, She Wrote, where she'll play, obviously, the Angela Lansbury character. So that should be interesting to see what she does with that. She should do what Angela Lansbury did. Get our old buddies from previous films and TV shows to come on and do roles on the show, in this case, the movie. Speaking of old people, Spinal Tap 2 trailer. We got our first look at that. Spinal Tap is looking really, really old. And I was never a real big fan of the original one, so this just sort of looks more of the same. And I still have a bone to pick with Rob Reiner after his attacks on Joe Biden in 2024. So do that at your own risk. Check it out yourself. I'm just not a big fan of it. Sarah Bach, Ava Jean, Thalia Rocca to Havana, Jack Cutmore Scott, and Donald DeTomasio have joined the cast of the Buffy the Vampire Slayer reboot. They are going to be the new main cast for Buffy the Vampire Slayer. They had the character names, but I just wrote down the actors' names. So, but there you go. San Diego Comic-Con announced The Legend of Vox Machina Season 4 set to debut 2026. I think it's going to be the last season of the show. A little bit Halloween. You know, every Halloween, Frankenberry, Count Chocula, Boo Berry, and they have that new one, which is the caramel apple one. I forget what that one is. I think there's also like another monster one, Yummy Mummy or something like that. When the new monster cereals come out mid-August, because that's usually when they're going to show up. The cartoon drawings on the boxes are going to be replaced with Muppet versions of these characters with a, joining with Jim Henson Company. They created Muppets for these characters and then took pictures of them and putting them on the cereal boxes so you can see Muppet versions of your favorite characters in the monster cereals this year. The Batman Arkham Asylum Lego set was announced this week as well. Looks freaking awesome. Has at least 9 to 10 minifigures, including the Riddler, which is my favorite character. Spooky Cat Pillsbury Cookie Dough, which has been not seen for over 10 years, is finally coming back this year. McCormick Finishing Sugars, which I really don't know much about, but just supposedly you make cookies and you add this on top of it to give extra flavor. McCormick has new fall-themed ones, including maple brown sugar, apple cider flavor, pumpkin spice, and salted caramel. Aztec Batman, which was a movie that came out not too long ago, has a sequel called Clash of Empires coming on video 9/19. Jurassic World The Experience, an actual Jurassic World park, will be hitting Thailand on August 8th. But before you all freak out, no, it is not. Dinosaurs come back to life. They are animatronic dinosaurs set up in the style of the Jurassic World thing. So you're going to have sort of a similar look to Jurassic World, but instead of real dinosaurs, you're going to have the animatronic ones. So that's the best, closest you're probably going to get to Jurassic Park. Tallahassee police arrested a Chuck E. Cheese employee in full Chuck E. Cheese costume during a child's birthday party due to credit card theft. So there's pictures of him being taken out by police in the middle of this child's birthday party in full Chuck E. Cheese costume. I feel bad for the little girl. It's not her fault. It's crazy. Stranger Things is starting to make a big dent in the stuff, even though it's not supposed to come out till November. We're getting Stranger Things strawberry Eggo waffles, which is not unusual since Eggo waffles are a big part of Stranger Things. The strawberry, I'm not exactly sure what that has to do with anything, maybe because it looks like blood. Don't know. Because we also get the Stranger Things Chewy Chips Ahoy filled with a strawberry flavor as well. So both those should be in your stores that carry the brand, as Marky Devo says, very soon. Wednesday, season 2 starts August 6th. It has already been picked up for a season 3, and Tim Burton also hinted at the possibility of spin-offs coming as well. Plus, Wendy's has a Wednesday meal plan for them with a meal Wednesday themed meal at Wendy's. So there you go. We also have Halloween Oreo cereal coming out here soon too, in time for the holidays too. Anniversaries. The Frighteners debuted in 1996, so that's what, 31 years ago? No, 29 years ago. Excuse me, 29 years ago. Monster House debuted 19 years ago. That was a computer-generated animated film, early in computer generation stuff. The TV show Sherlock with Benedict Cumberbatch and Martin. I forget Martin's last name. But he was in MCU and stuff like that. Debuted, and he played Bilbo Baggins in The Hobbit. Debuted 15 years ago this week. Martin Freeman. Maximum Overdrive, the only film that Stephen King wrote and directed, was debuted in 1986, which was 39 years ago. The Haunting, which was Jean de Bont's horror film with Liam Neeson, debuted in 1999, so that makes that 26 years ago. Caddyshack debuted in 1980, so that makes it the 45th anniversary of Caddyshack. And Wolfen debuted 44 years ago this week, which is a Joe Dante's, I think. No, Joe Dante had the other one, The Howling. This one was written by Whitley Strieber, who had the UFO encounter. It's a Wolfman thing, and American Werewolf in London was huge, so that and Wolfen and The Howling all came out around the same time. That was 44 years ago this week. Best George Kouiman's Golden Earring band member passed away this week as well. All right. 1, 2, 3.5 pages left to go. Damn. We got our first look at Ezra Bridger on Ahsoka Season 2. That was also available at San Diego Comic-Con. At the viewing of Fantastic Four, I saw the trailer for the Apollo 13 IMAX re-release for its 30th anniversary, set to come out September 19th to the 25th. I actually kind of want to see Apollo 13 in IMAX. The trailer was shot in IMAX, and it looked really, really good. The Mighty Nine, first look at San Diego Comic-Con. It's a Prime series or movie or something, debuting November 19th. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles vs. Godzilla is coming to comics. That was announced at San Diego Comic-Con. The trailer for Percy Jackson Season 2 was also released at San Diego Comic-Con. Looks decent. Looks like they're following the second book pretty closely. So that's really good. Pillsbury has created caramel rolls and chocolate rolls to go with their cinnamon rolls. So that should be pretty good. The caramel one should be probably really good. Trailer for Last Frontier set to debut October 10th on Apple TV. I think it's a series. It looks a hell of a lot like Con Air, the series. It shows just a bunch of convicts in an airplane. The airplane crash lands. So I'm assuming they survive and escape, and the police have to find and catch them. Sounds kind of boring and stupid, but that's just me. Beavis and Butthead trailer for their new reboot season 3 came out. Didn't watch it. Didn't care. After I forget what his name is, but they need a new director for Roadhouse 2. They finally got it with Ilya Neisholler. Will be directing Roadhouse 2. Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow film is getting a sequel in comic book format from IDW. That was also released at San Diego Comic-Con. Speaking of San Diego Comic-Con, someone made a San Diego Comic-Con 2025 Lego just event. It was a replica of the entirety of the San Diego Comic-Con, from the street outside to the iconic trees and bushes to the iconic convention center. And then you fly in and you see the convention center is a massive table, and you see all the different Marvel, DC, all the different booths and all of these minifigures, checking out stuff, people buying comics. And then you have the panels over here. It's amazing. If you haven't seen it yet, look up San Diego Comic-Con 2025 Lego. It's absolutely stunningly gorgeous. Let's see if I can find it here. Oh, I don't know. It's on TikTok. All right, it's not probably the best spot to look for it. Let me check YouTube. Because I know I have it on my Facebook page, but I just don't know how far away it is.
Ultra Fire cervical care pillow. Even orthopedic doctors are using it. Orthopedic.
CBS 8's Chris Grow, live at the convention center with what you can expect here today. Chris, that must have taken you quite a while to build that convention center. I mean, I know you're a good Lego builder, but very impressive.
Oh, look, I'm no master builder, but I definitely have some talent when it comes to the bricks. But by no means did I get to put this together. But there were some master builders that truly put in some.
But yeah, it's a massive set, and I wish I could show it to you better, but it's insane how gorgeous it is. Kristen Milotti is set to star in Buddy, which is a new horror film. Hans Zimmer is set to join Euphoria Season 3 as a scorer with Labyrinth. So Labyrinth and Hans Zimmer working together. Adria Arjona is replacing the leading lady from Thomas Crown Affair. I forget her name, but she's replacing her. We got our first look at Dust Bunny from Hannibal creator with Mad Mikkelsen and Sigourney Weaver, about a girl who pays two people to kill the monster under her bed. Invincible has been renewed for a 5th season with Matthew Rhys joining the cast. Jimmy Olsen, who became one of the more popular characters in the Superman movie, will be getting his own spin-off show, which will be on Max, which should introduce Gorilla Grodd to the DCU. Booster Gold is also back in production after the success of Superman with David Jenkins writing. So we're going to get a couple, I think Gunn has said he's going to do a bunch of TV shows and movies every year. So now we're getting an idea of what it's going to be like. We talked about that. Christina Applegate is said to publish her memoirs. Melania Venitrobis, who is Squirrel Girl and was in that advertisement for phone company, something like that. She's got the big bazaar and stuff like that. And who talked about last week, she created OnlyFans, but called it Only Philanthropy. Her pictures made $350,000 for charity. We got our first poster of Denzel Washington and Spike Lee's new film, Highest to Lowest. Just has Denzel wearing headphones and a baseball cap, and there's like a bridge behind him. So that's all you can see about that. School Spirit back in production with Jennifer Tilly joining the cast. Oh, yeah. Resident Alien has been canceled after 4 seasons, which sucks for Alan Tudyk and people who really enjoyed it. The BBC and BritBox are going to be doing the Detection Club. It's a series about a group of crime writers, including Agatha Christie, who solve crimes. Dakota and Elle Fanning are set to work together for the first time ever. The sisters are set to work together for the first time ever in the adaptation of the book The Nightingale. We got a new trailer for Good Fortune with Keanu Reeves as an angel. Seth Rogen also co-stars in it. Just in time for the holidays, Mr. Clean is getting involved with it. Mr. Clean is releasing a spiced harvest scented floor cleaner and a frosted cranberry scented floor cleaner for the holidays. Buckingham Nicks to be re-released after 50 years out of print. It was the first album that Lindsey Buckingham and Stephen Nicks did before they formed Fleetwood Mac. They are finally remastering it and re-releasing it 50 years after that. So we've seen that a lot more. A medieval knight's complete skeleton was discovered beneath a Polish ice cream store. So that's pretty interesting. Some more deaths. Henri Zeps, an Australian actor, died at the age of 81. George Fiji Vekiso, the composer of the Baywatch Nights Hawaii theme, died at the age of 55. And The Black Cauldron, one of the underrated Disney animated films, is 40 years old this week as well. Ted Lasso, as I said, season 4 has started filming. His new cast includes Tanya Reynolds, Faye Marsay, Jude Moon, Aisling Charlie, Grant Feely, and Abby Horn. So that's pretty good about that. Evil Dead Burn is starting filming. It's the new Evil Dead film that has started filming this week. Krispy Kreme has Crocs now. Weird. Olipop is also releasing a pineapple-flavored SpongeBob soda. Speaking of that, Pepsi, who had bought Olipop and saw that prebiotic sodas are the next big thing, have created a prebiotic Pepsi and vanilla cherry flavored Pepsi prebiotic soda. It has, I think, 5 grams of cane sugar. It has some prebiotic wheat in it. And there's some other flavors as well. Someone tried it and said that even though it says it has no other sweeteners, there definitely is something in there that definitely tastes like it, but it's like not a big fan of it. But it is a prebiotic soda. It will be released, surprisingly enough, online for Black Friday, and then it'll be released to the public in January of 2026. There's the first one I can't read. Oh, Cheetos and Wednesday are teaming up for Flaming Hot Cheetos Skulls, which is a new thing, which I have Wednesday branding on it. Spy X Family Season 3 trailer was released this week as well. Mia Goth has officially joined Ryan Gosling and Sean Levy's Star Wars film, Star Wars Starfighter. Netflix has a new version of Pride and Prejudice with Emma Corrin, Jack Lowden, can't read that name, in production. Olivia Colman in production right now. Shrinking Season 3 wrapped this week. The Interview with the Vampire, which has been a hugely successful show on AMC, has finally gone as far as they could. So what's the next step? Well, let's do the next book. We got our first trailer for The Vampire Lestat, which has Lestat becoming a rock star, set to debut in 2026. So they're not dropping a beat. They're going to go right from Interview with the Vampire to the next one. Looks like they'll be doing that for a while now, which is a decent way of doing things. Krispy Kreme is going to release a Fruity Pebbles glazed donut here in the future. We get some more first look behind-the-scenes pictures of the Harry Potter filming of the TV show. Richard Osman's new book from the Thursday Dinner Crime Club new book is coming out, The Impossible Fortune, coming out September 25th. The first movie adaptation of it, directed by Chris Columbus, is set to debut at the end of August. So pretty good. Halloween Horror Nights, which is a big event, I think, out in California or Vegas or whatever, has tasked Slash, the musician from Guns N' Roses, to produce, and is a Slash themed, and he will be scoring this haunted house with the theme name called Scarecrows. So we'll see how that goes. Naomi Eccles has joined the cast of Clayface. Superman Brand New Day is set to start filming, in August. Swarms of Fireflies, actually, before all the chaos happened this week, I was just going to name this episode Fireflies. I still might name an episode Fireflies down the line, but I figured the reason why is because of the story. If you haven't noticed recently, fireflies have really not been seen out and about over the last couple summers. Those typical bugs you see flying around, little flashes of light that pop in here. Used to be able to look into our back here at night and just see all these lights because it's complete blackness back there. Just see all these lights just pop up because of the fireflies. And I don't remember the last time I've been able to see those until this year. So for a while there, it looked like the fireflies were going to be in danger of going extinct and disappearing from the earth. And that was disappointing for a lot of people because fireflies are a huge, iconic sort of thing. I mean, you hear all about fireflies. There's songs about fireflies. There's pictures of fireflies. It's a summer thing, and it's a fun remembrance of when your childhood. You would catch them at night, stuff like that. But they were disappearing slowly, so not a lot of people were remembering them. And as I said, I don't recall seeing them over the last few years, but I've started seeing them more nowadays around this area, which is good, which is great. But the big news is swarms of fireflies are back in Illinois, which means that this could very well be, it was just a small little window that came back up. They saw whatever the issue was, and they should be coming back up into prominence, which is huge swarms in Illinois, sure. But as I said, I've been seeing them a lot more in this area as well. So we'll see how that plays out, but it's a good sign that we could be, the fireflies could still be around for a little while, which is good. I'm going to do some anniversaries and death, and then I'm going to talk about one of the main reasons why this week was chaotic. Death, Corey Adams, an Ole Miss freshman defensive end, was shot to death, which is a horrible story. Anniversaries, Captain America, the First Avenger, debuted 14 years ago this week. Nope debuted 3 years ago this week. Summer School debuted 38 years ago this week. Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey debuted 34 years ago this week. And Mr. Mom debuted 42 years ago this week. All right. Besides all the death that we already talked about, which all happened within a day or two of each other, we have this craziness that hit this week. This is going to take a few minutes, so bear with me. So, the pedophile in charge of the White House decided to sue Paramount for some slight he felt, because apparently you can't make fun of a reigning president because he's a little pussy and gets his feelings hurt, snowflake asshole. He sued Paramount for what he felt was misjudging character or whatever. I don't really remember the scenario behind it. And he threatened to pull the approval for the Paramount Skybound merger that the FCC has the right to pass or fail. So basically, he blackmailed Paramount into giving him a settlement. So Paramount settled for like $15 million. And the pedophile in charge said he wouldn't mess up their merger. Now, Stephen Colbert, who is an employee of Paramount, does his night show, is the most popular night show out there. Still huge ratings, still hugely popular. He started making comments about the Paramount deal to Trump. And he's been also, the pedophile. He has also been making fun of the pedophile forever because He's a horrible, terrible, racist piece of shit asshole who's somehow miraculously found his way illegally in charge of our country. And he has no backbone. He's a snowflake pussy. So he is getting so Colbert was getting some mean stuff from the president saying, you shouldn't make fun of me, Paramount, you need to do something about him. Also, at the same time, Matt Stone and Trey Parker, the creators of South Park, had been fighting with Paramount because South Park has been on Paramount Plus for the longest time, and they are undergoing a new contract with them, contract negotiations with Paramount. Paramount decided to prove their mettle a little bit by removing all the episodes from streaming. That pissed off Matt and Trey. So there's been a lot of stuff about them going against Paramount as well. I brought that up because that comes into play a little bit later. So then we jump forward to about 3 days after the merger. We get word that Paramount has canceled Stephen Colbert's late night show. Its last episode will air at the end of May 2026. 3 days after this merger and after they bent the knee to the pedophile in charge and Colbert absolutely blasted them, all of a sudden he's being canceled. They're calling it for money reasons. It's one of your highest rated shows. It's making a ton of money for you. It's all political, you fucking pussy ass shitheads. Part of the deal they also made with the pedophile in charge, they're going to put in a DEI person who's going to look through all the shows and mark it if they have DEI, that they need to remove the DEI stuff, which is another racist piece of bullshit. Dictator move, asshole, fucking shit bag, motherfucking piece of shit thing to do. So Colbert's been fired. He has until till May to wrap things up. The night after the day that he found this out, he absolutely blasted the pedophile in charge, blasted Paramount, and there's not much he can do about it. All of his buddies, Kimmel and Jon Stewart and all these people, they all came to his defense also and absolutely railed against Paramount and the pedophile in charge as well. So Colbert is going scorched earth. He's got nothing better to do because they really can't remove him because he still generates them good ad revenue and huge ratings. They just bent the knee to the pedophile in charge because they're a bunch of pussies. They're scared. So about a day later, it's announced that Paramount has come to a $1.5 billion deal with Matt Stone and Trey Parker to do 50 episodes of South Park, to have a 5-year contract with Trey and Matt, and to be the only streaming home for every South Park episode. $1.5 billion. Now, everybody saw this. They're like, oh my God, they sold out, blah, blah, blah. It's a bunch of bullshit. So then, no, they can't believe that Trey and Matt did this because that's not who they are. Wednesday is the season premiere of the new season of South Park. All the people who thought Trey and Matt sold out did not realize that they were playing 4D chess. They released the season premiere episode of the 27th season of South Park. It has South Park being sued by Donald Trump for an imagined slight. And they are able to make a deal with him. And then they have to do 50 PSAs, 50 episode series. They have to do 50 PSAs. The show itself absolutely destroyed the pedophile in charge. They turned him into the Saddam Hussein character from the early part of the 2000s. The same mouth motions, the same voice, and just absolutely spent most of the episodes just absolutely tearing the pedophile in charge a new asshole. It was a glorious sight to see. And then it gets better. So the PSAs, they have to do 50 of them. There's 50 episodes, so you're going to see one every episode now because that's what Trey and Matt do. They're the best satirists we have in our country right now. So we get the first PSA. It is a AI generated like live action view. it's got a narrator saying that, the pedophile in charge, calling him by his name, helped us through the desert, and it has a AI generated pedophile in charge walking through the desert, and the voiceover saying, how great and all stuff is, and then he starts taking off his clothes and stuff like that. It's so hot, and then it cuts to a scene where you see his big fat body, and it's all disgusting and stuff like that. And then you cut to a shot of him crawling completely naked. You see his butt, and continuing to do like a voiceover about how he's saving the country like that. And then he collapses in the desert, and his little penis pops up and starts talking to him. Micro little penis. They also made the same joke in the show because the pedophile in charge is Satan's new boyfriend, and it showed him with the micro penis also, the pedophile in charge. They absolutely destroyed Donald Trump, I'll say his name for this point, destroyed Paramount, and they also brought Jesus in to do the Sermon on the Mount because they were also making fun of the fact that they are forcing religion into schools, so they brought Jesus into the schools. It was absolutely a stellar piece from Matt and Trey. Absolutely admonishing, destroying Paramount, who just gave them $1.5 billion, and destroying the pedophile in charge, who they bent the knee to. It was a masterclass because here's the situation. If the pedophile in charge tells Paramount to remove them from Paramount, basically cancel them, Matt and Trey, who signed the contract before they released this episode, can now sue Paramount for $1.5 billion, and they would win. On top of that, pedophile in charge wants to sue them for saying he has a micro penis. But his staffer said, you can, but here's the thing. There's a little thing called discovery. So they would have to see if you have a micro penis. And you have to prove that you do not have a micro penis in order to win your lawsuit. He shut up about that lawsuit at this point. And now we still have, it says it was one of 50 PSAs. So every week we're going to probably see another absolutely huge PSA destroying the pedophile in charge, destroying Paramount. Every episode of the show is probably going to be similar in nature. Can't repeat the same story, but they'll be able to make some changes to really reflect what's going on in the country. And I have to say, bravo to them. That was absolute masterclass. And the fact also that Colbert can continue to do his Scorched Earth until May as well just adds that much more gloriousness to it. Something bright in the darkness of the world. That all happened around the same time as all the deaths were happening also. So the middle of this week was absolutely chaotic. And then that Thursday was absolutely chaos at work as well. All kinds of crazy stuff going on, weird things happening, skids falling apart, just computers break. It was just an insane, chaotic day that I get to go back to tomorrow. Yay. All right, we got some Pokemon stuff here now. Poke Park Kanto will be opening in 2026 in Japan. Will be a Pokemon park based, created with the Kanto characters, the first season of Pokemon. So it's going to be a park with all these, first gen Pokemon stuff in it. Looks like a lot of fun, opening in 2026. Mega Dragonite has been confirmed to appear in the new Pokemon game Z to A, which is coming out in October. And Switch 2 is doing a Z to A bundle with the Switch 2 as well. And an Oshawott playground has been created in one of the Japanese suburbs as well. Oshawott, one of the panda-looking Pokemon, gets his own playground as well. So on top of that, we have all these horrible, Mickey Mouse horror movies and Popeye horror movies and Bambi horror movies and Winnie the Pooh horror movies. So it's the new trend now is to take an established children's cartoon, beloved cartoon character and make it into a horror film. That has not changed. Minnie Mouse is now the next victim in Minnie's Midnight Massacre, a Minnie the Mouse horror film. We got our first look at that. I just love it. A new Amityville horror movie is in the works. We haven't had a decent one in a while, so we'll see how they end up doing that. Johnny Depp and Ridley Scott will be working together to do sort of a sequel to Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, but in graphic novel format, not in movie format. They will be co-writing a graphic novel that'll be released soon. July 22nd was the second in 3 days this year where the Earth is spinning faster than expected and the days were slower. Or were shorter than expected. The next one is sometime in August. The Mass Effect live action series that Amazon Prime has picked up a production company that did Fallout. So the production company that did Fallout will be doing Mass Effect. I should have had this, the Pokemon stuff. Pokemon Concierge trailer. The stop-motion Pokemon animated series on Netflix gets a new trailer for a new season. It's a debut September 4th. Barrett Doss joins the cast of Little House on the Prairie from Netflix. July 29th, and I got to check this out. That's on Tuesday. I got to check this out. Maybe on Thursday when my kids and my wife and kid are at Scouts. Netflix is releasing a documentary about the storming of Area 51. I don't know if you all remember the story from a few years ago where it was a whole big internet craze where a bunch of people decided they were going to get together, influencers, stuff like that, get together outside of Area 51 and storm Area 51, claiming that they would be able to get into Area 51 to see what is actually going on there with the aliens and the UFOs and stuff like that, because there'll be so many of these people running in, they wouldn't be able to stop them all. And then only a handful of people showed up. So it should be really good to see how that comes about. We got our first look at Sydney Sweeney going for her Oscar role as Christy Martin, a boxer. So we got our first look as Christy. That movie's coming out later this year. I'm 100% certain it's going to be in the Oscar talk for her. Predator Badlands new trailer debuted. Still looks decent. There's also, I think, Predator Killer of Killers was an animated film that Dan Trachtenberg released on Hulu last week or something like that, which was a bunch of mini animated stories about predators attacking people in different time zones and time frames. So after talking with Arnold Schwarzenegger, he added a bunch of cut sequences to the animated series. So it's now the version of the film that's on Hulu now has these new scenes added. And we discover that Arnold Schwarzenegger's Dutch character and what's his name? Not Donald Glover, but the other, Danny Glover. Danny Glover's character from Predator 2, and then the Indian who all of them who defeated the Predators. All of them, the Predators have come back, captured them, and put them on ice because they defeated Predators. So they're going to keep them on ice, I guess, for some nefarious purpose. So that's a build up to something that's interesting. We'll see what actually happens with that. Near Dark is set to get a show from A24. It's a great underrated vampire film. It's now going to be getting an A24 series. In a Violent Nature 2 begins production in September. In a Violent Nature was a great concept where you got the view of, it was a horror film from the perspective of the killer. It was one of the silent killers like a Freddy, or Freddy wasn't really a silent, he was talking, but like a Micah Myers or Jason Voorhees, those quiet, serial killer type things. the movie basically was from his viewpoint. So everything was from his viewpoint, not from the viewpoint of the characters. Did okay, I guess, and did well enough that they're making a sequel. So we'll see how that actually goes. Rachel Bloom and Patrick Bramell are set to join the cast of Devil Wears Prada 2. Alien Earth trailer, another one was released. We've been seeing a lot more of that stuff now, so trying to get an idea about it. J.B. Tadiru is set to join the Cliff Booth film. A man was sucked into an MRI machine wearing a 20-pound chain. He shouldn't have been wearing the chain in the first place. Mark Andrews, Ravens tight end, is investing $10 million into a place for stray animals that will have a home forever, will not be killed. So if they never get adopted, they'll still be loved and taken care of. So it's good. A 3-year-old boy discovers a $4 million 16th century gold pendant with a metal detector he borrowed from his dad. New vaccine for Alzheimer's patients has been developed in Arizona. Starbucks fall menu is set to debut August 26th. Dunkin's fall menu is set to debut August 28th. Avatar 3 poster was released, and the trailer was released exclusively in movie theaters. Looks like typical Avatar sort of stuff. Was okay. I'm not a big fan of Avatar anyway, but it looks decent. Probably make money. I still don't think it's going to make $1 billion because there isn't as big of a time frame between them. Like the original Avatar came out 2009, the second one came out like 2023. So you have such a long window there, and now you have this one where it's like just 2 years later. Another one I can't read. There's always one, so we'll just leave that one blank because I can't read that one right now. I wish I could have saved this for last, but I still have a whole half page of stuff to go. Swingathon Sex Festival draws a noise complaint after loud moaning from 1,000 swingers. What do you expect? There's a thing called Swingathon. You're going to hear moans. Jesus Christ. Deaths. Judy Lowe, actress, and Kate Beckinsale's mother passed away this week. Alex the Great, a Flemish therapy rabbit that the San Francisco Giants used at their baseball games, died at the age of 4 years old. Tom Troop, a Star Trek Mission Impossible actor, died at the age of 97. Anniversaries, What Lies Beneath, a great Robert Zemeckis film, is 25 years old this week. Barbenheimer, Barbie and Oppenheimer both were released 2 years ago this week. And When Harry Met Sally debuted 36 years ago this week. So Barbenheimer's anniversary is this week. All right, we're finally down to our final half a page. This will be done on August 2nd. Stephen King's Fairy Tale is set to get a TV series, so a lot of his stuff is going to be getting done here in a few weeks. What the hell? Oh, Keeper trailer from Osgood Perkins and Tatiana Maslany. We got our first teaser trailer for that. Debuts November 14th. Looks like a weird horror film to me. Rookidee Community Day, one of my favorite Pokemon, is getting a Community Day set for August 30th. A double meteor shower is supposed to hit our area on Tuesday the 29th into the 30th. So that's pretty cool. In a Holidays, which is a book, gets a Netflix movie adaptation because, as I keep saying, Netflix is becoming the next Hallmark channel with these sort of weird, not weird, but these typical sort of Christmas romance things. Gillian Flynn's Dark Places is set to get a TV series as well. Actually, these are going to be my two final stories. That's another good one I should wait for. Those are my last three. 3 earthquakes hit Russia this week, including one that was 7.4. A 5.2 earthquake hit Alaska today. That's another good one I should wait till the last minute on. Welcome to Derry teaser trailer from San Diego Comic-Con was released, set to debut in October. It looks really good, really scary for fans of the original It. It's from the guy who made the 2-part It movie. So the trailer itself looks fantastic. Emily Van Camp has been cast in Little Audrey. I think it's a horror film. Aaron Taylor Johnson is set to play Len Dawson in a biopic of the famed Kansas City Chiefs football player. And Aaron Taylor Johnson is a huge Kansas City Chiefs fan, so good for him. Ravens training camp started this week, so football is officially underway. The first football game, the Hall of Fame game, preseason game, is set for July 31st, which is later this week. A bear walks a cat back to his house and then gives a thumbs up to a Ring camera. An employee mailed himself a Boba Fett toy in 1979 and sold it for $1.3 million. Let me point out why that's interesting, because Boba Fett was shown to be, for the lead up to Empire Strikes Back in 1980, was said to be going to be the next big character in Star Wars. And the action figures were already huge at that time. From 77 on, the action figures were huge. So Lucas decided he wanted to try something different. So he decided to make an exclusive Boba Fett figure, knowing full well that Boba Fett was going to be huge. So instead of just releasing it in toy stores, Lucas decided that he would have a mail-in for people who wanted to get the Boba Fett thing. They would have to mail in like 5 UPC symbols from Star Wars figures or vehicles that they bought and put them in the mail and send it to Lucas to prove that they've been buying Star Wars stuff. And then they would mail you the Boba Fett action figure. That's how I got mine, actually. I did that. I mailed the stuff. And at the time, I didn't know it was a big deal or anything like that. So I mailed the stuff to him. I got it. I opened up and I played with it. It was one of my favorite figures. Apparently, this employee who worked at the toy company knew what was going to be coming and kind of knew what was coming down the pike. So instead of doing the UPC symbols, he just mailed himself a figure. He took one from his job, mailed it to himself, kept it in solitude, and then waited so he could sell it for $1.3 million. So kind of shitty, but at the same time, yeah. Large dinosaur mating dance area was discovered somewhere in Libya or something like that. So it's a place where dinosaurs actually did mating dances in order to mate. So that's kind of interesting to see that. Australians are moving to a 4-day work week with more holidays. I wish we would do that more often. Now, before we get to the last story of the week, Anniversaries Revenge of the Nerds debuted 41 years ago this week. The Conjuring debuted 12 years ago this week. And the final death that I have to talk about this week is Papa Jake Larson, a Vietnam vet. I'm not a Vietnam vet, a World War II vet who was at D-Day and became a huge star on TikTok. He passed away this week as well. Final story we have for you this week, and I think I have to go out and get groceries, even though it's 5:11. Final story we have this week. This is a funny story. It's not funny because of what happened, but it's kind of interesting. Irish politician who authorized the removal of a prized fairy tree, a tree that, according to Irish legend, fairies lived in. The community that had it was trying to stop him from removing it. The politician said, "Fuck you guys, we're going to remove this fairy tree." And they're like, "You're going to be sorry." And like, what's going to happen? It's a tree. We got to get it out of here, because he didn't believe in fairies. This politician ended up dead. Now, I'm not saying that someone from the village killed him. I'm not saying the fairies killed him. but it seems rather odd that he removed a fairy tree, which was used to help fairies and house fairies. He removed it and then dies. On that, we are ending this chaotic week, this chaotic month. And we still have a few more days in it for workers like us. Friday is August 1st, so we are down to our last few days this week. As I said, this week we have Thunderbolts coming out on Blu-ray on Tuesday. We've got a double asteroid meteor shower hitting on Tuesday into Wednesday as well. We're getting the Heat Dome early part of the week, but it's supposed to get much cooler starting Thursday for about a week and a half, which is great. Can't think of anything else right now, so we will end it here. Next week, I should have the Mountain Dew Dragon Fruit as my my tasting choice for open whatever, so I'll keep it there for another week and open it then. And we'll see what happens. But yeah, we'll let you know what's going on. But I got nothing else really coming up. I said I got the free weekend coming up, so I might watch some more movies. But other than that, I don't got anything else. I gotta go to the bathroom. I gotta get groceries because it's 5:13 p.m. here on the East Coast. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your week. Stay cool. August is coming. So is midsummer.